The fire burning red in a Georgia representing of a comes hard here. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you going like in a like come son. Red. The fire burning red in a Georgia representing of a comes hard here. You know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton massive. Hey Babylon boy, you going like in a like come son. Red.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money never, money never, money never, money never, money never, money. I know what you conniving, money, money never, money never, money never, money never, money never, money. You can keep your conniving, money. When you've been up for a bum, you have been tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, you have been tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle to tell me money. Yes, money never, money never, money, money never, money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. A 2 pound note and a kill that piece. This is all the money that me walk. I said money neighbor, money neighbor, money, money neighbor, money, money. I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in the Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting oil money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see, sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, with Jah as ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. Stop fooling the people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. politician. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow, Poor People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
Guyana, get ready for a night of nostalgic and classical hits as the PNCR presents a grand oldies party on Saturday, November 30th at Congress Place Fire, featuring Super Ray one-man band, Big P one-man band, and Determined Family. Join us on Saturday, November 30th at Congress Place Sophia. Don't miss this night of unforgettable tunes and timeless memories. Admission is just $1,000. There will be a well-stocked bar and finger foods available. Come out and support this event.
Don't be a victim. Beat the heat with EC Crystals. Party ice in large and small quantities. Call 682-7981 or visit us at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. EC Crystals, pure party ice. It's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday with Al Christie and popular DJs at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Here, trust me, if you are on the East Coast, you're in Buxton, you're in Tongley, looking for a place to get away to, this is the place. The Cutters, and then of course the ambience is beautiful, fully air conditioned, the decor is on point, the music's on point, everything's on point. So if you want to find a nice little place where you can just drive out of town and have some drinks, have some food, you can call, you can order your stuff and just take it. You don't have to stay. Or if you want to stay here, that's what's up. And of course, they have special events for Valentine's. You can rent a hall. You can rent a hall, honey. You can rent a hall for weddings, for birthday parties, to have a bash. I hope he edits that out. But you know, whatever it is, this is definitely the place to be. So it's on Sideline Dam. You definitely want to ensure that you check this place out. But it's on your to-do list. All right, on your to-do list. This is definitely the place to check out, you know, a really cool, chill spot here in Buxton. I like this. This is Buxton needed this. We needed this. I needed this. You definitely need it too.
Are you planning your next visit to Oil Ridge, Guyana, South America? Well, let's accommodate you at Varon's Cheerful Country Manor. With free secured on-premises parking, our beautiful vacation air-conditioned home offers 3 beds, 2 bathrooms, a spacious kitchen, and all modern amenities. Located at Tushen, on the eastern bank of the mighty Essequibo and the western coast of Demerara, Varon's Cheerful Country Manor is just a stone throw from the ocean. Make that reservation now on Airbnb and VRBO. For contact, Call us on 516-770-3053 or 592-685-3521. Make Veron's cheerful country manor your home away from home.
Comes out your son. You burn the swine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes, I say them heart no kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, Red Hat.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Ramvelt Market Meat section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more. yesterday? How you make out yesterday? How was it last night? What a go on? Are you alright? I hope you're alright. Stay good, because in these times, young and old lines are dropped together. Young and old lines are dropping together. You have to be very careful. Okay? What happened for you yesterday? How much of those smart goals were you able to achieve? You set them, but have you been able to achieve any of them? How you sleep last night? Tell me how you sleep last night. Ghetto couldn't sleep last night. How you sleep last night? I mean, I can't change from what I'm doing here and what I do as a regular, as a normal thing, to try singing. I ain't gonna make it. I don't think I'm lucky like Lola. I best stick with talking and don't try singing, because I might lose out. Good? So what I go on? Yeah, tell me. I spoke to you yesterday about that Starlink that was going to be used in the interior there. I think I'm learning it is iTunes. And these days, since everything is denial, 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 and so on, they say when you're talking about things that might be arguable, let me use that word, contestable, you must present your receipts. So here's the receipt of Mark Phillips, according to the news, saying by the end of this week or next week, Starlink connection is going to be in one of the schools in our country. Despite them telling us that what? Elon Musk was seeking to be licensed to operate in the country. That has to be a very, very, very quick process. I wish Guyanese can benefit from such speed, some alacrity, when they make applications to similar facilities. But let's not.
Additionally, the Prime Minister revealed plans to install a Starlink internet connection at Howell Primary School by next week, addressing the lack of ICT facilities in the community. He also pledged to evaluate the need for a secondary school in iTunes. Public Works Minister Bishop One Edgehill.
You all hear what you there? Prime Minister said. Prime Minister said, we're going to install a Starlink internet connection at Howell Primary by the end of next week. This news was early in the week, so we're saying, let's say by month end, the first week in December, Christmas coming early. I hope it coming for Guyanese people and not the PPP, because, listen, I don't know. Old people say don't see them in the daytime and wait till night time to look for them with jog lamp. It simply means 4-1 is forearm, and so when you recognize certain things happening, you immediately ought to stop and take note, stop and pay attention, stop and secure yourself. Like in boxing, they say protect yourself at all times. So you have to protect yourself at all times. Don't wait for it to happen to say it caught you off guard. Rather prepare for it and pray that it doesn't happen if you don't want to deal with it. And then you can actually say, well, you know, all the preparation I made for it, it never happened. It's like insurance. You never know when you're going to need insurance. You never know when something will happen for you to need insurance, but you usually pay your insurance, don't you? At least some of us. Some of us like to live by chance. I am one of those persons. I live by chance. All the insurance in me. Right? The good Christians can tell you God is their assurance. But the capitalists will tell you best pay the insurance, because if anything happens to you tomorrow, You might be up shit creek. You ever heard that term? Up shit creek? Yeah. So if you're seeing certain movements around an election time, start paying attention and start taking actions. It might not necessarily be preventative actions because sometimes you can't stop certain things. The government is the government does what the government likes. But can you put systems in place to check them? You know, checkmate? Yeah. You better ask. Because if you don't, it's all on you. It's all on you. It was Wednesday, is it? No, it's Thursday actually. So we have the big man, Mr. Winston Jordan, who is going to come and talk with us about the economy. And I'm sure he's going to lend his wisdom to analyzing or helping you to understand what Suriname is doing for its residents versus what Guyana is doing for its residents. I'm sure that is one of the things he's likely to address. And then our government just went back to Parliament for a whole lot of money, an indecent sum of money, $84 billion. Is that what I heard? 30 of which is supposed to be allocated to the cash grant payouts. And the shark cook had the temerity to stand and tell Guyanese, if you ain't take no picture, you can't get no money. So these people giving you cash grant or they're buying photographs? I don't know. Y'all could tell me, because I need to know. Good. So it's 16 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. Let's call Mr. Jordan. Because I'm sure there's a lot of things that you would like to talk about this morning. And I would like to be educated on all of those things that you would like to talk about this morning. I don't want to shortchange him, and I don't want to shortchange yourselves. Did anybody do the due diligence on that allegation which I said was made by Facebooker? Or anybody look for the answer to the question that was asked by the Facebooker in relation to the second vice president's children and their mother? Y'all get some information, share with me if you have it. Mr. Jordan, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Kadaki. Good morning. Thankful Thursday. And of course, it is Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, yeah. That almost slipped me. Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving to all our folks, our diaspora folks. I hope you eat, but don't overeat, because the doctor will be standing by if you overeat, and that you enjoy it in safety. Happy Thanksgiving to my my daughter in the States and my son in Canada, and although they had their Thanksgiving before, but nothing wrong to celebrate, and to all my friends and so on.
You know, Mr. Jordan, you surprised me there. I never know you got children. I thought you were like somebody. You're hiding your children from the world, or the world from your children?
When my DP has the one in Canada was an actuary, when he was graduating from the University of Toronto. So I don't have to hide. I have 3 children. It also was on the website when I was minister. 3 children, 2 boys, 1 girl. Right? All successful in their own right.
Well, you see, I don't mind business. Somebody tell me for asking if you got any on the pumpkin vine. I can tell them the answer. At least what you will say. Proceed, sir.
Well, those you may not know, you know, mine is run, pumpkin vine is run well, you know.
And
it sometimes they cover with baby pumpkin also.
I tell you.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be thankful for. Thankful for life generally, because a number of people didn't make it this year. The Grim Reaper has been cast in a wide net. Every day you wake up and so on, somebody else has gone. In my own family, my sister died, and my cousin died, and I had a number of friends who died, close friends and so on. you know, not so close, but still friends, like Oscar Clark and the former REO of regional chairman's area of Region 4. And so yes, there's a lot to be thankful for. What's on your Thanksgiving menu, Kadaki? You have an actual Thanksgiving menu or anything tonight?
No, tonight is karaoke night. And so we'll have karaoke tonight. Definitely we'll have karaoke tonight. What the Thanksgiving thing?
You can have Thanksgiving cutters with karaoke.
I want to catch my neighbor turkey there, why turkey expensive?
Well, the turkey is the American tradition. But I mean, if you go down Queens and so on, them guys got dal puri and Korean roti and so on, you know. So Thanksgiving is what you make it. You don't have to. It doesn't have to have turkey in it.
We don't have some fish and chips, right?
Yeah, some fish and chips and so on. In fact, I can't tell when last I saw a turkey in Guyana, a live one. You know, I mean, in the country areas and so on, you could have seen turkeys around there, gobble, gobble, gobble. But I can't see when last I see a gobble, you know. But yes, so you can enjoy turkey. Just before I begin, I just wanted to give a shout out to the folks in West Berbice, especially Prophet. You know, I had a little incident last week. Saturday, I was driving out and I had a kind of blowout in one of my right front wheel, and I was kind of stranded because the car that I have didn't come with A, spare, B, jack, and so on. But the last 2 months or so, I acquired a spare for it, but not the jack, and so you could imagine my predicament, having a blowout and having a spare, not being able. And the good people of Prophet came to my rescue, you know, and for that I want to give them a loud shout out.
Your man of tremendous fear to be driving all of that distance without spare and jack?
Because the guys told me that the car that I have actually gives you a warning, you know, some kind of time warning as to, you know.
When you're going to get punctured?
Yeah, and they told me the tires that the car came with and so on.
Okay.
Well, you know the usual story. I don't know if it's a sales pitch or what, but it from the hard way.
You're gonna learn.
But all is well. And they said I wanted to thank the folks down there who assisted me and had me on my way in a short time. And the next day, Sunday, I attended what is called potluck supper at Christ Church. It's an annual event, and you know potluck is like it's not like a barbecue, but you know, it's where people bring different foods and so on, and you have a share. You know, it's akin to the Last Supper, so to speak. But it was a really good event where people share a lot of camaraderie and and so on. But the reason why I want to mention it is because by far for me the most outstanding food was a soup. That was actually done by Darren Wade and another West Berbician. And man, this soup, I tell you, man, it was so good. I had 2 cups. It was so good. It not only rivaled, it outrivaled German soup. And I'm talking about German soup back in the day.
Oh, because I don't know what you're talking about now.
Not the soup that they're selling now. I am talking back in the day where you could have gone by German, your little steel booze and so on, and you ask for soup. And right away you revive and you could go again. You know, or back in the day when you go to Germans and you buy a half soup and a half food. And you go and you set for the entire day. Not that thing that they call it soup now. But this soup was fantastic enough for me to mention it.
I guess Darren learned the beef broth method, you know. Sometimes you had some low beef in the soup there.
Yeah, it's the same soup.
All right.
It's the same soup. The West Berbice owner is claiming it for West Berbice. And you know, it brought me to the idea that look, there are a number of recipes, I believe, that are in old boxes in the attics, you know, in those big trunks that our foreparents used to have. And maybe it's time for people to go in those trunks and scavenge and find mama and great grandma's recipe books in their own handwriting and so on, and resurrect some of these recipes, because we have a gold mine in the attics or so on, or we are throwing out every year in our Christmas cleaning without realizing that we may be onto a good thing. And I was teasingly telling Darren at the time, look, this soup is so good that perhaps we should think about marketing it. You know, and while I was teasing him, I'm dead serious. The soup was so good that I believe it has potential for marketing capabilities. And those who are looking forward anxiously to the 100,000, and we had talked about this a couple programs ago, that perhaps they can take some of it and look in terms of entrepreneurship. You know, jams and jellies, all our grandmas and great grandmas, jams and jellies, recipes and soup recipes and fufu recipes and all these different things. You know, and maybe it's time also to reactivate some co-ops where we can be pooling monies and so forth, and pooling resources to get some of these entrepreneurial activities going, you know, as a way of sustenance and as a way of
After the no confidence.
so to speak. And especially given my program 2, I think last week, I think it was, where I showed you it didn't make much sense investing money in the banks when the interest rate that they are giving you is so negligible and it's well below even the inflation rate. So your money is losing value from the time you put it into the banks. So you need to have that money work for you. And we need to have more mentorship among particularly our young people and our women, so that they are engaged in more entrepreneurial activities as opposed to looking for a yard work or so on. While there's dignity in all kinds of labor and so forth, I don't think that should be held as a banner as to why we should continue having our women folk, particularly engaged in guarding other people's places and being spat upon and all this kind of story. And I think some guidance and mentorship and so on, some seed money and so forth, could be put towards their way, and have them start there. You know, very early back in the day, I used to see people knitting. I don't see people knitting these days. I mean, you may have one now and then when they're bored and so on. But people used to be knitting and selling dollies and all kinds of things for Christmas and so on. You know, we need to reactivate those things. You know, even a simple thing as sugar cake. That, you know, I remember my grandmother used to be making sugar cake every weekend, right? Where it's chipped or grated and so on, and the colored ones and so forth. Even something like that. The art of party has been lost, and we're now depending on imported sugar cake. You go in the shops, it's imported sugar cake. Trinidad has been able to market hard channel. It's selling here like wildfire. You know hard channel, Kiraki?
Yes. We had a village in the Yankee crispy crisp. Taste it, you will like it. He had a good thing going, but of course he has died, and that legacy perhaps didn't catch on.
You know, so
he used to walk around the parks and sell the channel.
There's so many things, tambourine balls.
Yeah.
You know, and so on, that can be made. Because they're simple. There's no big set of technology. There's no big set of resources that are required. And these things can be made. And of course, we start out with the village economy, right? And especially the schools and so on. And then branch out from there. I just think the mentorship, the education, the leadership, you know, I think I heard you saying about some program that you have coming up shortly in Buxton, where you're trying to target a certain group and expose them to this kind of mentorship and so on. These are programs that have to be done continuously. And I hope our folks can contribute financially and otherwise to such programs, you know, and help push these people along, you know, into these areas, rather than having to have these measly jobs of guards and so on, where even the simple thing as the NIS is not being paid, you know. So so I thought I would mention those two as areas. And you're quite right. I would be talking about Suriname, because that seems to be the buzz.
Yeah, of
It seems to
course.
be the buzz.
Money makes the world go wrong. Money makes the mouth go wrong too.
Yes. The buzz is that Surinam's president has announced $750 for each citizen from the royalties of oil and gas. And then the headlines have gone around the world and so forth. Suriname has collaborated with a firm called Total Energies, which is a subsidiary of Total, the French giant, to exploit what they call the Grand Morgu development, which is located in offshore in Block 58. That is their mini Stabroek block that we have over here. That block 58 is estimated to contain in excess of 750 million barrels of oil. And out of this, Suriname expects to produce 220,000 barrels per day by time force oil, which is now scheduled for the year 2028. So, President Santoki announced a financial instrument named Royalties for Everyone, or RVI. Royalties for Everyone, which is a financial instrument. And here are some of the features as I could have distilled them. One, this RVI offers the people of Suriname a share in future oil royalties. And, okay, let me leave that piece to come back. The condition is that you must be a Surinamese living in Suriname. That's one of the conditions. He made it very clear. So it is not that he's not saying that they are overseas or diaspora Surinamese and so on. But he's saying what is a practicality, a practical matter. It will be difficult to include all Surinamese who you don't know living overseas to make an estimate of the feasibility of a program that you want to put in. So it has been made very clear. The condition, the principal condition is that you must be a Surinamese who is living in Suriname. Which is what we suggested when they first came out with this $200,000 for household. And I amended it to $100,000 for each individual Guyanese adult, 18 plus, who was resident in Guyana. And there are already legal definitions for residency that appear in Guyana and in the Constitution and so on. It is extremely difficult to get a cash transfer or cash grant program that will involve diaspora, especially when our diasporas are almost, if not exceeding the population of Guyana. Extremely difficult to do that, right? So that's one of the first differences that we made between us here and Suriname. Second feature I could have distilled from what he said is that each citizen will receive a savings note worth US $750 with an annual interest of 7%. Well, I don't know if he's going to continue to flesh that out, but I didn't quite figure out a number of things when I read that one. Number one, when will they receive this note? Is it from January next year? Right? Is it immediately upon the announcement that he made? So I didn't quite understand when this note will be given. And 7% with an annual interest rate of 7%. So assuming that he's going to give it from 4th of January 2025. So it begins to accumulate interest. Is it that by 2028, no, in other words, then, when can I cash in the note? It is clear that you can't cash it in before 2028. But when thereafter can I cash in the note? That has not been made. That has not been made quite clear. In other words, then the mechanics of it are not known. And I don't know whether maybe not to take away from the euphoria of the announcement that everybody will be getting 750, and you're leaving the mechanics of its implementation later. But these things need to be told up front. Otherwise, people are going to become as cynical as Guyanese are when it comes to cash grant. He said also that the money will be paid out in future from the royalty income of Block 58. Right? So, of course, as I said just now, this money is not immediately available. So, after the little jumping up and so on, when you read the fine print, you realize that money is not available. A lot of people didn't seem to understand that. Because I heard a couple of people on different programs talking about, so now I'm giving you 750 and we only getting 500 and so on. All right? But the money is not available immediately, but we have to admit that Suriname is making certain that that 750 is not eroded by inflation by giving you an interest rate of 7% every year. So that by the time you're ready to collect, it will still have an equivalent value of 750 or more. Then you compare between the announcement that was made that 200,000 was going to be paid, then 100,000, and the word instantaneous was used. So now, that 100,000 is already lost value. Because if it were given immediately, which is what instantaneous means, you'll be able to buy more goods at that time than you were able to buy in the high price season of Christmas. When some of us, or no, when some, not us, when some are likely to get you 100,000. Okay? So they're not giving you that 100,000 with interest. That 100,000 already lost value. It's probably worth 90,000 at the moment. And declining every day that you don't get it. All right? So Suriname has accounted for that. That's another difference. He says that the amount, that 750, is listed in US dollars, but payable in Suriname dollars. All right? So you will not lose if there's a devaluation, because the 750 is 750. And if there is a devaluation, you'll be paid the equivalent, but in Suriname dollars. You're not going to get the US dollar. You're not going to get the US dollar payout. You're going to get Suriname dollars, which is obvious. I mean, the legal currency in Suriname is Suriname dollars for the purpose of the circulation of money in the domestic economy, not US dollars. He says that the government will be exploring options for elderly people and the disabled to receive payment before 2028, which is also a good positive move generally, because to wait for 2028, a number of people are going to die by then. Of course, a number of people will also be born. But for the elderly folks and so on, they would like to see they get money now. The devil will be in the details too, because Suriname is in an IMF program, and so they are subject to the dictates of the IMF. And they will be precluded from borrowing from banks or any other place, even if they were willing to give them. They will be precluded under the IMF program from doing so. And Total Energies, as I recall earlier, a month or two ago, had already signaled to the government that they were not prepared to give them any advance on royalties or any other payment that they are expected to make. So I'm not sure whether this was being a bravado kind of gesture or not, because it will be difficult for them to source money. I didn't say it's impossible, but in the context of their economy, in the context of them being in an IMF program, and also where the investor, Total Energies, is saying that they're not prepared to give any advance on royalties and so forth, those may send negative signals to other potential lenders. And so I'm not sure where he's going with this and why he's announced it. I shouldn't say I'm not sure why he announced it and so on. But what people may not know. So first of all, this is a very positive development, of course. In hindsight, perhaps it's an approach which the coalition government could have taken while there. In hindsight, I think it might have sent the right message, a positive message, a hopeful message, and so on. So I feel that is where Suriname has learned from us, generally.
It's a pity that our own government didn't learn. And I'm talking about the PPP in this instance.
Well, they didn't learn, but what Suriname has done is learn from Guyana also, this PPP government, in the form of some kind of cash payout. See, Suriname says, no, okay. What has to be? Okay, let me give you some numbers that I've been able to work out. So the population of Suriname is estimated at 600,000 people. Under the deal that they have with Total Energies, the royalty is going to be 6.25%. They said that they are going to produce 220,000 barrels per day. And they have averaged a price of US $70 per barrel, even though they might be on the high end come 2028, when it is expected that the economy, the world economy might very well have an excess of production and so on. But I put it on the high side. I use an average price of $70 per barrel. So it means that from 220,000 barrels per day and a royalty of 6.25%, that Suriname can expect a royalty in terms of barrels of oil of 13,750 barrels per day, which, using a price of US $70, works out to US $962,500, $500 per day royalty. And using 360 days in a year, give or take a 5-day downtime and so on, it will result in royalties of 346,500,000 US dollars that will be payable to Suriname in a given year. 346,500,000 US dollars in royalties per annum that will be payable to Suriname. All right. Now, as I said, the population of Suriname is 600,000, roughly, thereabout. Assuming no increase in population, no increase or decrease in population, so 600,000 all the time. And at 750, which is what the savings note that they are proposing to give, that will mean that Suriname will have to make a payout of $450 million. $450 million if they were prepared to pay all at one time. So that will be $450 million at the instant time. At the end of 2025, if they were to give it to January 1, at the end of 2025, adding 7% to that figure will take it to $481,500,000. At the end of 2026, again, if you adjust for the 7% interest, it will take it to $515,205,000. At the end of 2027, again, adjusted for 7% interest, the amount payable would be $551,269,350. And at the end of 2028, adjusted another 7%, the amount payable by the Suriname government for this scheme will be $589,858,205, which is nearly $600 million. All right. So, and that would be at the end of 2028, when 2028 is when they expect foresight. So if they were to put My concern with this was that they said they were taking a portion of the future of the royalties that they will get to make this payout. But I don't see the two adding up. Because if everybody were to take their demand their 750, say in year 2029, so now will not have the monies to make the payout. Because as I said, their annual royalties per year will be $346,500,000. And they will only be getting these royalties post 2028. So, and every year that they don't make the payout to the citizens, it goes up by another 7%. And remember, I'm making assumptions of zero increase in population and all these kinds of story, right? And so they can't just assume that the population will be static in year one, and people can't continue to apply. This thing will go on, in perpetuity until the oil runs out. That's the impression I got, because he quoted the Constitution saying that the citizens of Suriname must benefit from the patrimony of the country as it relates to the natural resources of the country. She quoted that in the Constitution. So what I want people to remember is that, like Guyana, Suriname has an elections next year. They have an elections next year. So the question obviously becomes, is this an elections gimmick? Is it an elections gimmick designed to bring support? Because remember, it's one of those feel-good, euphoric type of initiative. So is it an elections gimmick?
Of course.
And we come back. Sorry?
Of course it is.
And we come back to the whole question of why not promulgate a law? Why not promulgate a law to enshrine this? So that if you lose the elections, it will be hard for the newcomer to dissolve the law. If you really genuinely believe in this, why don't you codify it in law? Because like I said, the devil is in the details. When you strip away all the euphoria and so on, the devil is in the details. Like I said, I like it. It is not dissimilar to what the Buxton proposal is. It's not dissimilar. And like I said, and I think in the constitutional reform, we should adopt a similar approach, which is putting in the Constitution that the citizens of Guyana must benefit from the patrimony of the country, in particular, the natural resources of the country. That should be enshrined in the Constitution. And as we have been pressing, it must then further draw from the Constitution, in which the details are fleshed out in law and then in regulations, to stop this thing being, first of all, being used as an election gimmick and used to bribe voters and potential supporters, which is what is happening in Guyana at the moment. And as your program earlier indicated, and as we have said, there have been any number of so-called cash transfers, whether disguised as small business grants or otherwise, that have been paid out to supporters of the party in power. And there have been a number of clandestine operations to ensure that only supporters benefited. So unless these things get shined in law, and unless the mechanics are spelled out in clear details, we are going to continue to be in this scenario that we have. You know, on Sunday, right at the potluck supper, I met a lawyer, not Darren. There was another lawyer there. And I said to her, listen, I'm really concerned about this app that they're developing, because it is clear to me that the arguments that they're using for this app are unconvincing, and that it's clear that they are mining information for the purpose of electioneering. And when you hear now you got Starlink, you got Mercury, you got whoever else, all that going to be involved in one way or the other. It is easy for those guys to take that mass of information and manipulate it the way that it's manipulated for the purpose of electoral advantages. So I said to the individual, look, man, don't you think that this business of the app is illegal? Because in the first place, the cash transfer program is not enshrined in any law. And notwithstanding the argument that they're using about FMEA and all this kind of story. And I referred her to the fact that, you know, public assistance, there's a law. Old age pension, there's a law. There's a CARES Act in United States. And there are other acts that were specific to the transfer of resources. The Housing Act that they had there. They had another special act when there was a bubble and a lot of people lost and so on. So these were special acts, and of course they have sunshine clauses where these acts will die whenever the activity came to an end or within a certain time and so on. Why is it that we in Guyana, and of course those places have superb accounting arrangements, administrative arrangements, so on, way above Guyana? So why is it that we trying to bamboozle people and throw dust in people's eyes by telling them about how we have FMEA and all this kind of story? And when it is clear that for the specific purpose of transferring unearned cash to the citizens of the country, it is not being done in the context of any legal framework. And she give me one, said, Bambai here, Bambai there, this, that. She can't adapt the question. And then, of course, she up and she left.
You made the woman uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know, before she left, oh, well, you know, the PNC got this person and that liar and this liar and that liar. And maybe, and I said, man, but you were a liar. And you were entitled to the 100,000. Aren't you worried, aren't you concerned that the app that they are developing and they intend to put in use may not have legal grounding? And you can't give me an answer.
A lady looking at your judgeship in 2 mornings.
You know? So it is extremely concerning that even a simple in the matter, it's not a complex matter, it's not a controversial matter, but it's one that cuts across the very fundamental human rights. You know, and nobody wishes to to examine this in the context of what I was trying to. I know liar, but I feel this whole business about up and up and up. You know, it's not right, because if you listen to yesterday's debate, which I will come to, and Amanza said, listen, in the context of the public servants, you're paying public servants who are on a payroll. Every one of these public servants has a personal file in which all the information is there. The ID number, the TIN number, the NIS number, whatever. All of that information is there. A most recent photograph is there because, you know, some of these places that biometrics where they got to sign in by putting the thumbprint or whatever the case. I know at Ministry of Finance, there was one where you had to, I think it's your thumbprint or your face or something, that, you know, when you come in to the gate, so that they know that you're present and all this kind of thing. They didn't sign in any register. So a number of places have these things. All of these things. And you are still telling me that you're developing app, that you're taking pictures, taking photocopies of ID cards. As an Sarah said, you want a DNA test, a stool test, two fingernails, three hair samples, and all this kind of story.
Very intrusive.
extremely intrusive. And I'm saying to the person, this cannot be. This cannot be. And then someone of them get to respond, to either respond or report what Amanda was saying. And it was so pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Man says that, well, we need to do it because, so when you're going to the communities, what is it that you're talking about? What is it that you're talking about? When you're going to the communities, all you have to do is transfer the data that you have in the particular ministry onto your app. You don't need no extra information. You transfer the information onto the app. And when you're going to the communities, you could also double check and quadruple check. It was so pathetic. But I'll come back to it. So, Mr. Santoki, don't play the same game that the people playing over here. Because you also got elections next year. Close to when the government of Guyana got to go to elections. And if you're serious, take the same announcement, because announcement don't work the paper or the mic that you use unless there's some guarantee backed by a law that it will happen, whether you are there or not. So take the next step and put this thing in law. And since you didn't get the permission of the wider citizenry, develop this thing around some paper, green paper, or red or blue, or whatever, with the Dutch system, and put it out to the public. Put it out to the public, and let the public decide how they may wish this to go. How they will wish to receive their monies. How they may wish to be guaranteed of their monies. Because the thing about this is, if by 2028, oil prices are hovering, say, around $50 or $45 a barrel, is the government still liable to pay the $750 US, multiplied by all the 7%, compounded 7% by that time? Is the government still liable to pay? You see where I'm going with this, Kiraki?
Yes, sir.
Or is the government going to renege and say, well, listen, we don't have the cash? So this is what has to be saying. The government has to say, what are the assumptions I'm making that I came up with 750? And one of the big assumptions has to be, what is the assumed price? What is the assumed price? Would the 750 form, is it going to be cut if there's cut in royalties and all this kind of story? Those are some of the things, and that can only happen if you put it in law and how it will operate. So, Mr. Santoki, you got a plus. It's a plus. The announcement is a plus, right? It's a plus, and mea culpa, it is one that the coalition government could have thought about and put out there, right? We did do the second part, which was to put in place a natural resource fund, because I don't know what would have been able to help us if the coalition government did not put such a fund in place. Suriname says that they are also putting one in place if they don't already have one ahead of foresight. But at least we had the foresight to put one in place so that we know how much money we're getting. The unfortunate thing is that we could not put one in place that could not have been degutted in the manner in which the NRF has been degutted, to allow the government to draw out almost all the money from the fund every year in the guise of pursuing national development priorities. That is the unfortunate thing. People blame us, but they don't seem to understand that the advice that was given to us by the Attorney General's chambers was that only the Constitution could have provided for anything in excess of a simple majority. It is the Constitution that determines and has provided for when you have to get 2/3 and all this kind of thing. So we couldn't just put in a law and arbitrarily decide that you can't change it without 2/3. It had to be adjusted in the constitution to allow that to happen. And of course, I don't think it will ever happen because in any constitutional reform, particularly where this government is involved, they would not want to have the access to that gold mine, that pot of gold circumscribed by any 2/3 and 3/4 and so forth. So we live with our disaster today. Such that we have a situation now where they've been able to change the formula earlier this year and raid in the Natural Resource Fund. Yes, raid in it. And all this talk about intergeneration and all these kind of things go through the window. But that's a story again, as I said, nobody seems to bother. You know, it's again, as I said, it's unfortunate, nobody seems to bother. You know, but like I said, coming back to this app story, it's very, very concerning that you're mining all this information because people are in desperate straits and need that $100,000, which, as we well know, while it's again, as I said, it's an improvement on household $200,000. Also, I made the reference to the fact that we should develop a green people, because this might be a one-off cash grant, but it doesn't mean that more cash grants in future are not there. And learning from this cash grant, the government should develop a green paper for the transfer of unearned cash. Because essentially it's unearned, it's transfer of unrequited. It's an unrequited transfer. You don't do anything for it, they just transfer the money to you. You don't have any obligations in terms of spending and all kind of story. Unrequited transfer. We must have some set of laws, regulations as to how it is. And the green paper is the way to go. Because the idea of the children technically not benefiting, whereas only the adults are benefiting, can be taken care of. Can be taken in the CARES Act. Adults benefited and people and children benefited. Right? I think children got half of what the adults got and so on. So there are a lot of history that we can source to put in a system that will work. We have 11 billion barrels still left. There's only 500,000 barrels that have been produced, and they said it's about 11.5. That's the official announcement, 11.5 thereabout. So we still have 11 billion. We have a long way to go, right? It took us 5 years to extract 500 million barrels. Well, I know it's not going to take another 5 years to extract the same amount because more FPSOs are going to come on stream and they're going to ramp up to 1 million and so on. But it took us 5 years in the first instance to get to 500 million. So we got a lot of time to take out 11 billion barrels. And the time is opportune for a green paper to develop on cash transfers. Because there's no way, you might say this is a one-off, but there's no way that we are going to, citizens are now have a taste of 100,000 are going to sit down and not be clamoring for a more permanent arrangement for the distribution of cash transfers. And all these ad hoc little pieces of transfers that you are doing can be encapsulated in that green paper and then codified in law. I'm sorry, I'm the only one who seems to think this way because all the other lawyers that we have and so on, they're not saying anything. They're not saying anything where this matter is concerned. And it should be the benefit of all of us that we get away from this ad hoc approach to the distribution of monies, of government's monies. You know? And they come up with all kinds of excuses. I mean, one of them is the classic I heard. I was reading this morning where a question was asked by the name of Flubis of the names of the people who benefit from cultural grants. Would you believe an answer came back saying that we can't give you the names? That is one of the answers that the minister sent back. He's saying that it's a parliamentary practice not to name names. I in all them years I've been in parliament, it's not long. I don't know about any such parliamentary practice. I know you cannot name somebody, accusing them of something, because they are not representing parliament and can't represent themselves. So you can't even and I had a particular case, I think it was last year, where I sent a message to one of the MPs to read the speaker objecting to my name being called in parliament. In a negative manner. An accusation which had that person come out to the parliament, because parliament is privileged speech, and said it outside the precincts of the National Assembly, he will have to walk up the court steps. And happily, I was written a letter saying that the person's comments was expunged from the record. I only say happily, but I mean, when people listen to the debates, they may be expunged from the record, the answer of the thing. But it wasn't expunged from the broadcast that was made. So it was only, as far as I know, the parliamentary practice is only in relation to if you are going to say something negative or accuse somebody, whether they were an MP or not, of something where they cannot represent themselves in parliament. But you're telling me you are using government's money, taxpayers' money, money from the consolidated fund, and you are extending these, which is a cash transfer, Kaiser grant. You are extending these to persons, and you will tell me you can't name them? That no record will come back to the parliament where you appropriated the money, to tell them how you distributed the money. I distributed the money to X, Mr. X and Miss Y and Mrs. Z. I can't name you the names because it's parliamentary practice that you can't name names. What kind of foolishness is that? And the speaker accepts that, and Ms. Nimaflu Bess doesn't query about the parliamentary practice or the standing order that prohibits that from happening. I mean, you know, it's so reading it this morning, I was so upset. So you were telling me you have no way of knowing whether these grants that were actually given out to, first of all, people who should have benefited. You have no way of finding out what was the criteria used to give out these grants. You don't have no way of finding out whether these grants that were given to some people, the feedback on them. You have no way of knowing who got these grants, whether they're going to get another one next year, and the other year. I can tell you, I know of no parliament practice. And I stand corrected if you bring up one. And if you bring up one, I would fight for it to be removed. Where you're telling me you're giving out money, you're giving out taxpayers' money. Monies that have been appropriated from the parliament. Money coming from the consolidated fund. And you're telling me you can't name the people who these monies went to? I think sometimes our opposition MPs just sit down and take a lot of foolishness.
You know, sometimes we, I mean, I like beat up the MPs when they're lapsing. But where's the recourse when you have a speaker of the House who doesn't help the whole situation? And I dare argue that the reason this minister is giving this answer that they can't name people is because, like, you remember when I just said he doesn't want to give the list of roads, I think that were to be done, because it will create, I can't remember if it was social disruptions or something in the society. They just don't want people to understand the level of discrimination.
But you see, look, I would be up. But you know, I mean, it can you imagine? But and the same thing happened yesterday. I'll come to it now. It's the same thing happened yesterday. I mean, people are now, the government is now so flippant about the parliament All you go there is to heckle. All you go there is to heckle. There's no credible answers coming for questions. And I could understand the frustration of the opposition. I could understand, I could really, I myself was so frustrated listening to parts of the debate, especially the part to do with the cash transfer. I was so frustrated that, I don't know, this particular parliament is hopeless and it's gone. And I would hope that the next parliament, there'll be some major improvement. I mean, say what you want. Say what you want. This situation could not have happened on the Barton Scotland, on the Rafael Tratman, and to some extent on the Ramkuran. It could not have happened. You got the government turns up with a bunch of hecklers, and you got answers that clearly the people are not prepared to give. I mean, before I get into it, Papo, let me give people an example. You're asking for a supplementary, say, of $111.59. Let me say that. Now that's a precise figure, not so?
Yes.
That's a precise figure. It's not like say like $100. It's $111.59. It's a precise figure. Yet still, when I asking you for the details that brought you to this figure, you're giving me a lot of foolishness. You can't tell me how you precisely got $111.59. You got giving me two hoops and what the coalition did and what they did and we for the people and everything except to tell me how the $111.59, how you arrive at it. I mean, I heard so many foolishness in yesterday's, I don't know, I don't want to use the word debate, but I heard so much foolishness. I am wondering whether the government side, because they're the one principal thing, have taken an opportunity to understand their own ministries. I mean, some of the food, but anyway, let's so you had this presentation of another huge request for supplementary of $84.5 billion. So let's put it in some context. So recall that the budget was presented on February the 2nd of this year, and it was a massive $1.146 trillion. Right? For those who don't understand that, let's say it was $1,146 billion. Right? That's the magnitude of it. Billion with 9 zeros. So you had that massive budget presented on February 2nd, 2024, and passed later that month. In about less than 6 months, the government was back to the parliament with a supplementary financial papers 1 and 2 for $40.75 billion. $40.75 billion. You already got a budget of $1.146 trillion that was presented and passed without a comma change in February of 2024. And in less than 6 months, you gone back to $40.6 billion. And what is more, I would say, particularly galling, because there were 2 financial papers, 1 and 2. Papers 1 and 2. Paper 1 will normally be what they call advances from the contingency funds. What does this mean? The government has 3 funds. It has a consolidated fund, which is the main account. And there are 2 subsidiaries of this account, the contingency fund and the deposit fund. And the contingency fund says exactly what it is. It's a fund for contingencies, unforeseen circumstances, right? For which the allocation, if there is one, is insufficient. The allocation, if there is none, there's 0 allocation. And the fact that if we don't do this thing immediately, it will have grave circumstances and impacts for the economy. Right? No, you just present a budget for $1.146 trillion and in less than 6 months. In less than 6 months, You already dipping your hand in the contingency fund. There are unforeseen circumstances so soon after the budget that you got to dip your hand into the contingency fund. And then the supplementary. The supplementary is if no monies were budgeted for a certain event, and now you have to go to Parliament for it. Or if monies were budgeted and you project that there will be a shortfall, right? You project that there will be a shortfall, then you go for additional monies and so on, right? That will be supplementary. But again, anyway, so the government went papers 1 and 2, 40.75 billion. Now it brings papers 3 and 4 for $84.5 billion, right? $84.5 billion. So that comes up to roughly $125 billion, or 11% of the budget. This is not of a budget that the coalition used to take. The best I think we made was about $300 billion or something there, about close to that. This is a budget that was almost four times the biggest budget of the coalition government. And you're still going back for supplementary provision. At the time, then you have several 530 meetings, because the last 530 meeting was the grand meeting. That was the grand meeting. Don't forget that all of them were going around different communities and shouting at contractors, how they're behind this, done the tara. So you can't finish the 1.46 billion, but you want another 125 billion, equivalent to 11% of the budget. And again, paper 3 was contingency, advances from the contingency fund. And paper 4 was again another supplementary. And the paper 3, for roughly $4 or something million in contingency, that was for 1 month alone. That was for 1 month alone. So there's something substantially, the government don't have the absorptive capacity, but yet the government continues to appear at the Parliament for more and more funds. And again, I will put a lash again on the Auditor General. The Auditor General office is woefully understaffed. It's woefully inadequate to deal with this massive upsurge in spending, right? And the Auditor General will do well. Well, I know he's coming to his retirement. God bless him in retirement. And I hope that they will get somebody with the experience and the caliber to transform that office into what it should really be. Because with this spending that will grow more and more, we need a proactive Auditor General's office that is organized to deal with different types of spending, to unearth different kinds of expenditure, to pronounce on the quality of the expenditure, and so on. Under the present leadership, is not going to get it. I know under the present leadership, the government is happy, but the citizens aren't happy, right? Because you have a lot of quality issues and a lot of issues that are not being taken account of. And these contingency funds, they have to stop. None of them qualified for contingency in the general sense of the word. And it can be stopped. Because I know whoever listens, they're going to run with the press releases and want to talk about what happened in the coalition government. But I could tell you, under the coalition government, there was no recourse to the contingency fund in the year 2017. There was no recourse to the contingency fund in year 2018. And there would have been no recourse to the contingency fund in year 2019 had it not been for the fact that we had to go for contingency to help out the Elections Commission. And I think two other things, one of which is a payment that we have to make to a certain person against a certain judgment. There will be no recourse otherwise for those. So it can be done. It can be done, and the government has to force its heads of agencies and budget agencies to up their game in terms of the quality of the budgeting that they're proposing to do. Anyway, so you had this request gone to the government. And the first thing that struck me is that in searching for the cash grant, do you know where this thing appeared? The request for supplementary for the cash grant wasn't on the Ministry of Finance, where I went immediately because it's where it should be.
Remember I did it?
It was, listen, here, it was hidden under the office of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister dealing with cash grants. But listen to this carefully. So that was the head. You know what was the subhead? The subhead was titled Disaster Preparedness, Responses and Management. Listen, I kid you not, listen.
The PDC.
The stakeholders, all of you who are listening and so on, I kid you not. The request for $30.5 billion was hidden under the office of the Prime Minister, under the subhead, Disaster Preparedness, Responses and Management. I could only conclude that the cash transfer is a disaster. No, that was made a conclusion. But wait a minute, I didn't realize the cash transfer was a disaster. Because that is where the thing was happening. Disaster preparedness, right? Then the carelessness with which the thing was prepared. In the explanation, the column for the explanation, it says this, quote, it is to provide additional resources, the word additional resources, for the cash grant distribution to every citizen above 18 years of age. Let me go over that carefully because you might miss what I'm trying to get at. The explanation for the request of $30.5 billion is to provide additional resources for the cash grant distribution to every citizen above 18 years of age. So let me dissect that to you carefully. This particular head had a voted provision which was appropriated of $7.072 billion. $7.072 billion. Right? Now, apparently the $72 million of that $7.072 billion is for the CVC. But you know what is the $7 billion for? The $7 billion apparently is for cost of living measures. This is appearing under the head Disaster Preparedness, Responses and Management. This $7 billion is for cost of living measures as announced in the budget as an omnibus item. I couldn't believe it. So when the word additional, when the goodly MP and his Ferguson, God bless her, stood up to say the word additional connotes that you're requesting more money to pay this cash transfer. You know what the Prime Minister gets up and said? Look, I don't want to think because I'm a Miss Coty and I ain't got the thing in front of me and so on. But essentially,
summarize.
Essentially, he got up, said nothing of substance, and tried to, in a way, give the impression that what Annette Ferguson was asking, was self-explanatory, plain to see, and all this kind of story, and that she was misguided or confused because the 7 billion 72 was something, and the fact that we are all the MP was asking was whether you have already started the cash transfer program using the 7 billion that was budgeted at the time. Couldn't answer. He could not answer any question related to it because this cash transfer is wrongly placed. And the question has to be asked, why is that placed properly where it's supposed to be, which is the Ministry of Finance? I have my reasons why I think it's not under the Ministry of Finance.
I am thinking that see trouble coming down the line and everybody saving themselves.
But the Prime Minister is not protected, it's only the President is protected.
Well, that's why I said they're saving themselves, they're exposing the Prime Minister. Who the hell is that? My mic was muted. Can you imagine that? And I'm stressing and going on. My mic was muted. Can you imagine? Morning, welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It's 16 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour, the 9th of November in the year 2024. I am your host, Kiraki Amsterdam. Welcome to the program. How you been? How was it yesterday? How was it last night? How you make out yesterday, people? What happened for you? What happening for you? What were you able to achieve yesterday? How did you rest last night? You had some rest? Or you were moving through the night? All right, Wilson. Friend Johnny talking about God. No friend Johnny. Listen, they got some human Johnny walking around the places. They my friend. Them friend me. Johnny friend. So, what can I have with you? It's FREETALK Friday, the lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. Godfrey Clark, you still ain't getting some? I'm glad FEMA check the system, no man. Oh, you late, so I sure I solved some problem already. How was your last night? I'm stressing and going on. I sure I solved some problem. Yeah, good. So yeah, Godfrey, we getting sound. I don't know about you, but you need to check your sound. Listen, you got a lot of things we got to talk about this morning, but I want to get all the first go. Oh, how was your Thanksgiving yesterday? How many of you overeat? eat for gluttony. You know, on these so-called special days, people cook up. Imagine a two-person family cooking a 10-pound turkey and so, and I've gallon rice. Well, I do. Listen, I hope you all considered the less fortunate yesterday. I hope some of you were able to, I don't know how you do it where you live, but I hope some of you were able to give something to the less fortunate. Share a meal with a neighbor that is in need. Drop something by the orphanages and so on and so forth. I hope you were able to do that, and not just splurge, not just do harm to your body, because then you overeat and so on. It comes back to harm, puts pressure on the organs, right? So I hope some of you are considering. Yeah. And took good care of yourselves and those who are in need. But how was your Thanksgiving? How was it? I really want to know. How was it? Thanksgiving is not a Guyanese thing. At least, hmm, hmm. When I was growing up, we weren't concerning ourselves with Thanksgiving. We weren't concerning ourselves with Thanksgiving. But nowadays, you Guyanese talking about Thanksgiving. You Guyanese talking about Black Friday and so on and so forth. But what I want to tell you all about, I also hear the government saying that you're going to wait. I'm looking at my camera actually, and something is happening on the road of it. Wow. Yes. The government saying that it's less than $500 US that they promised to give Guyanese and so on. Not for them ain't gonna draw till next year. Not for them ain't gonna draw till next year. The public servants and the old age pensioners and so on, it's possible that they will get their money by Christmas, according to what the government is saying. Godfrey Clark, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you the full 100 just now. Yeah, it's possible that they can get their money before Christmas. But the other categories of people who are supposed to get this money, they will have to wait until next year. And not just wait until next year, but after the next budget. So I'm trying to wrap my head around this thing. And Mr. Jordan, if you're listening this morning, feel free. I would like, as a matter of fact, for you to give us a call and clarify this thing. Because the government went to the National Assembly for, I think, $30 billion to pay this cash grant. And so if we are hearing no, why are you calling me this morning, this hour? Oh, because I said the line's open, no? I forget that they said the line's open. Call all the line. Yes. And if we went to Parliament to get this money, I would do a supplementary budget to pay this cash grant. Oh, suddenly we're hearing that this thing paying, people gonna go wait till the next budget. Some people will have to get paid after the next budget. Are we saying that the amount of money that they requested from the National Assembly does not cover in totality the budget for the cash grant, the payout? Is that what I'm understanding? And next budget, they have to wait until next. Some people have to wait until the next budget. Is it tricky trick we getting? Or is it tricky trick y'all getting? Because I really ain't including myself in that thing. Because as far as they're concerned, as long as they want photograph and stuff, I ain't got no money for them. Caller, you're on. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to that young. Good morning, everyone. Now, where you listen, That detailed explanation from Minister Winston Jordan, it says a lot, especially where this money is placed under the Prime Minister ministry. Now we got to remember the Prime Minister don't really have no work. All he doing is writing show cause letter why people must be dismissed from their jobs. And now we get the thing with the money. And what a slap in people's face that this money that they're picking up people to get, they're calling it a disaster fund. What did they write? Because they got the country in total disaster. So when you listen to what Minister Jordan say, you gotta understand how the installed regime has schemed the people who they came that they are in love with and they're going to do good for. We all look to them as disastrous. Anyway, moving from there. Now these things with lands out there, grabbing at land. Last year I could remember when I made that speech and I spoke about people grabbing land. A lot of people came for me. Now I'm talking in my area, the church, the Anglican church, all the lands in Guyana, at least where I know on the coast, are bounded by boundaries. And mainly the boundaries that would be used on lands in Guyana are drainage canals, pit canals, sidelines, and whatsoever. Now this church is facing south, no, facing east, running east to west. And the land that it is on is from north to south. That is the main trajectory of the land, bounded by the east and the west. To the north, there is an original drain. But what happened? This main drain that was there, another drain was being dug feet away from the main drain. And then people now are claiming this church land as being on the transport. We remember how the installed regime did the level best to remove from Ministry of Lands and Mines, I think Mr. Ben. And after they do that, after they got rid of him in the most horrible way, they now had the people in place, that people who never had land coming to you and said, this is what we transport that. But what people fail to realize, that with the churches, all the churches, those mainline churches, like the Anglicans, the Catholics, the Congregational, and the Presbyterian, and those churches that come up lately, or the old churches that we grew up with, those churches were all accredited with a church, a building for school, and lands to bury the dead. They made certain they didn't go into the potter's field. And now all those lands, the wicked installed regime have people in various places who are getting into the church's land, whether it be the Anglican is the diocese land, and trying to lay claim to the land. And I think that this is something where we have got to fight against. Now, we as Africans, we as Christians, many Africans know, because remember when we came here to govern us, we were given the Bible. When they took away our things that our worship, they took it away, we were being given the Bible. And when we were given the Bible, they taught us so many things in a way of indoctrinating us to follow them, which we had to do because we had nothing. Now you got people like the other religions. I'm not cussing them out or anything. You would see mainly in the Indian population, they would take something to their problem. They would run through a little kerosene, gasoline, scratch or match upon themselves. They bond themselves when they are alive. And when they finish burning and when they are alive, they continue to burn when they die. So you wouldn't see the need for them having much of a burial place because they decide they believe in cremation. Unlike that, you would hardly see a Muslim being cremated. Muslim get wrong because they got to return back to the earth from whence they came. The Christians, the same thing, they got to return. But they don't have, so when a Hindu go and see a church land and look to scramble the land to put up house, the Hindu is telling the diocese that there is no need for your land to bury you dead. You must go church away or go to the foreshore and burn up your dead and fling the ashes wherever you want to fling. So this is something that is coming up. Lastly, I went to a Thanksgiving dinner last night and I had a little bit of Wi-Fi. So I turned on my phone to listen to Cheryl. This group was black people, Africans, and one of them said, "No, God, me want for earbud. I want ear though. Me in there for politics." And that young woman was fully well tutored in the way of the installed regime. And I looked at her and I just turned on the phone. And that's one reason why I don't really go out in the evenings because I like my programs. Those programs keep me fixed to know what is going on. And I don't think that we as Africans should run away from these programs because the programs that we listen to could either make or break us. And if you choose to listen to I never listen to the Mad Show on Thursday. I don't waste time. And other things where they put forward, you will be just like the young African woman. Don't want to hear the truth about nothing. And when you meet people like them, you gotta ask yourself, what are they gonna do come 2025 or whenever the elections are being called? Bye-bye.
Lines in the 6225 for you to the Guyanese morning time. I am your host today. Yes, no, I was saying that. Before I deal with that, somebody asked me a question. Where is Dr. Hines missing for 2 days? I'm gonna tell you how this going. You have my friend. Dr. Hines wasn't on the program Wednesday as he usually is. He did message to say I will not be on as usual. I will travel. And once I got, I hope you are hearing me. Yeah, so Dr. Hines messaged me to say I will not be on. He wasn't on the program on Wednesday like you recognize. He messaged and said I will not be on as usual. I am traveling. And once I got that message, and I realized, oh shoot, it's November. I said Thanksgiving coming up. And I went and I Googled the date for Thanksgiving, and then I realized Thanksgiving was yesterday. It's a tradition of Dr. Hines to travel to his mother and siblings and so on. I think they're in Maryland for Thanksgiving. And when he goes there for Thanksgiving, the rule is you ain't got time for social media. So you're going to get that blackout for that tour for as long as he's there, I think, maybe 3 days and so on and so forth. Right? So keep that in mind. So that is why Dr. Hines is missing for 2 days, according to the viewer. And those of you who are long-standing viewers of the program, by now I think you understand that happenings there, right? So I could have said, like I think I said just now, this person is a newbie, right? Relatively new. They didn't know of that quote unquote tradition of that. All right, so yes, there are lots of things that we encounter on a daily that, as old people say, should open up our eyes. Last Saturday to be exact, I went to Kingdom Academy. They were giving back. They were honoring the outstanding students and graduates of the university and so on and so forth. And I was asked to deliver the charge to the beneficiaries and so on. And I said a whole lot of things to them. But the last thing I said to them is, politics matters. Politics matters. Because the fact is, politics will determine your quality of life, whether you believe in God or not. Politics will determine your quality of life. And I usually argue to Christians. I usually say to Christians, y'all don't tell me nonsense, but you're serving God and this and that, you're involved in politics. Politics costs, well, it was ordained according to the book and so on, but I usually say politics costs Christ's life. Despite the fact you're talking about two different kingdoms. The man in charge of the earthly kingdom really believed that that Christ was coming for his kingdom. He was a threat. And so they conspired and they planned and they plotted and put Christ between two thieves. Huh? Remember when they were asked, who you are what? Christ or Barabbas? I hope I remember this story. It's politics. So it aggravates me when our Christian brothers and sisters, our kith and kin, me not mix up with politics. Me not got time with politics. I best get time with politics. I say it every day. I tell people every day. Everybody cannot be a politician, but a politician affects everybody's life. And so pay attention to what that politician is doing. Okay? So when you go to these gatherings, and that's why you got to suss out your friends, right? I was quite surprised to hear everyone they say she been to Thanksgiving dinner. In GT, we got time with that. But of course, you have friends who are cross-border and so on. So maybe they're here and they decide, well, we're going to do Thanksgiving in Ghana and so on. And then, give thanks. Their life, give thanks. There are some people, I will not sit at their table. In an instance like that, for example, I did get up and gone. But let me take a knock at your door. So, okay, you go to the people's dinner table and listening to Sheridan. You want a good host, a good guest? All right? It's not nice for you to be invited to somebody home for dinner and you go and turn on your cell phone, your device to listen to Cheryl Duncan while having dinner at the people place. That's not good. So both parties wants and licks, right? You end up hearing what you hear because you introduce politics to the people in the table. When you roam, do as the Romans do. But on the other side, if I were to go there and for whatever reason a discussion started like that and people tell me what they're interested in politics and so on, I'm a political person. I ain't sitting wrong nobody and spending time with nobody who tell me they ain't got interest in politics. They're making me work a little more hard. That's a fact. But when you look across the society, right? When you look across the society, the Guyanese society especially, That is what you hear. And it's not that these people are not interested in politics, they're deceitful. They're deceitful, number one. Either they are fearful and they are scared to say that they are fearful. Number two, their political preference is opposite to yours and they are ashamed or fearful of saying to you. Maybe because they don't want to offend you. Maybe you don't want to see them for what they are. They don't want you to see them for what they are. So they will tell you they have no interest in politics instead of being blunt as I am and saying to you, well, here, you like the PPP? I'm a diehard WP. But that doesn't mean we will be enemies. We'll just have to respect each other's opinions on these issues. Right? You understand me? Anybody who come and tell you they ain't got interest in politics, tell them a lie. They're not being honest. They ain't being forthcoming. So when I hear that nonsense, I ain't interested in politics. You're interested in politics. You want somebody to do the heavy lifting for you. While you crawl like a snake in the grass and go where you would like to go for your political benefit. That's how I see it. But once you get the opportunity to engage these people and educate them, then by all means, go full throttle ahead. Go full throttle. Some of them need some eye openers. Like the Emboyer Woods of Buxton. Those who know that story will know what I'm talking about. I will not say another word about it. Right? I said previously, and I'm going to repeat it, because I see it happening and continue to happen. A lot of our folks who once lived among us and migrated to greener pastures, as we usually argue, do not necessarily see things locally the way we see them. And my advice to those people is that when you come back here, especially if you want to get into the politics, the local politics, ensure you get a clear understanding of the local politics before you make pronouncements. The way the government will treat you or treat with you as what I call it, expatriate, as a comebackee, as a returnee, as a remigrant. That's the word. Excellent. The way the government will treat with you as a remigrant, Alex, I got a big silver bottle this morning and it had something inside that I have to use to clear my throat. I can switch my camera. I can show you my big silver bottle, but I will switch my camera. And I'm going to tell you how we're responsible for this little misery they're in right now. I like to know my business. I don't keep secrets, My life is an open book. Yeah, so I'm saying it must be understood that the government is likely to treat you differently as a migrant than they treat with the locals. As first and foremost, as a migrant, they might tell themselves you're coming with resources, number one. Or number two, they will tell themselves it's easy to convert you to their camp by offering you things. And so a lot of our brothers and sisters who are migrant or would like to remigrate or simply want to have a piece of the motherland, as in Ghana, they go and they roll up in bed with the people. They're going to roll up in the bed with the people. I've seen migrants who, because they want to bring in vehicles or whatever, way past what the migrant scheme allows, hug up and kiss up and love up the PPP, sing praises of the PPP, just have their way. Make promises to the PPP, campaign for the PPP, just have their way. Without consideration, serious consideration of what the PPP has been doing to their people for quite a while over the years. All they're concerned about is that they get to come back home and bring their luxuries, quote unquote luxuries, and live larger than the people in their communities to prove to the world that they went to greener pastures. Some of them are just hustlers. They didn't achieve much while they were there, and so they come back home, you know, to see what could be different, and they make all kinds of deals and engage in all kinds of shenanigans with the people. We have to recognize them for what they are. And as well, people say, feed them with the land food. But we have to also help them to recognize that they are a danger, not only to themselves, but the causes of our people. To the causes of our people. I cannot understand this particular individual, knowing the struggles of Buxtonians all through the years, knowing the discrimination Buxtonians face all through the years, and cannot offer proper leadership to the young people of Buxton to let them understand that the PPP is basically baiting and switching them. But you know what? Worse yet, choose to be an ambassador for the PPP to go to another black community, BV, and sing the virtues of the PPP. What virtues? What virtues the PPP possesses? Gotta be careful of them. Very, very careful. But like I said, I will not call them Boywood name again. Not to talk about that, not to talk about anything else. So all those of you who are sending me videos of Mboya praising the PPP in BV and selling the PPP to the BV young people, y'all see Mboya yourself. I could point you out to where he lives if you so desire. But y'all don't come asking me nothing about Mboya. Good? It's Free Talk Friday, so I'm talking my what's on my chest. As we say, I empty my stomach. But there are many Mboyas around the place. I saw a video with Marlon Jacobs, for example. The PPP is on a buyout. A lot of you perhaps are not paying attention to the fact that the PPP is in a buyout. Right? I saw a video with a whole long list of the quote-unquote who is who among a certain group of young people singing the virtues of the PPP. What I'm telling people is that they're singing the virtues of the PPP because they were able to get. Marlon Jacobs left the US, I think, and came back here and became a contractor. And it is alleged that he was telling a particular other person or persons, come, I could link you all up with a $40 million contract minimum. I said it before, and y'all seem not to understand it. That's him not to understand it. The PPP will come into your communities, they're going to lure, quote unquote, your most progressive or your strongest, and they're going to use them for poster boys and girls. You expect the youngsters to fall into that trap, especially that they ain't getting guidance. But for big old hardback man like Yaga, oh my God, yeah, Woodhead to fall into a trap like that. We should be, the likes of Woodhead should be providing guidance to the young people as to how not to fall into a trap like that. So they look for the shining star, the footballer in BV, and they put him on the ticket. They look for Jacobs. According to them, he's the GOAT. Damn GOAT for truth. And that greatest of all time, GOAT. I mean, that's an insult to GOAT too, because GOATs are quite brilliant. Right? And they look for all these people who are visible in the community and who are influencers in the community, and they buy them out. So the PPP, they're going to buy out. And the cheapest thing to buy these days, they say, is a black man. And the evidence is right before your eyes. When will our people wake up and stop partaking in this sellout business? Change the mentality from this sellout, getting buyout and selling out. If you bear strain and you knock heads together, the possibility is you're going to get to throw the monkey off your back. But when other people are knocking heads and fighting the fight and you selling out, making it twice as difficult. The PPP doesn't care about young people in this country, especially African young people. Young black men, they don't care. I want the Woodheads and goats and so on explain this to Guyanese. I show you just now. I'm putting it up on the screen. Y'all take a good read. I want to explain that this is a job fair taking place tomorrow. See where it's taking place. See what it's offering. Y'all see what it's offering? The government of Ghana, in collaboration with the private sector, invites you to be part of the transformation in Guyana. Trinidad and Tobago Diaspora Job Fair. Learn of the exciting job opportunities in public and private sector. Network with industry leaders and other stakeholders. Get information on resettling in Guyana, training opportunities, and government housing programs. Engage officials from NIS passport offices and GRO, among others. Become aware of how you can contribute to Ghana's rapidly growing economy. Open to the public. Saturday, 30th November 2024, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Passage to Asia. Number 7, St. Ives Street, Chaguanas, Trinidad and Tobago. You want us to dissect it? First and foremost, the PPP is trying to build the number of citizens in this country that will vote for it. It has recognized that there are lots of people who will not vote for them. They have recognized that there are many persons who used to vote for them that have left these shores to greener pastures. They are quite aware that the numbers are dwindling on their side. Color your life.
Hey, I went to listen to your program. You went hollering something about Marlon. They collect some $5 million contract from PPP and telling people to vote for them.
You sure that's what you heard? Continue.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, Apnu, right, never did anything for nobody but themselves. Right? So if PPP give me a contract for $50 million, right? I would inspire people to go and vote for them.
Why?
Granger never did nothing for nobody. He had the country under pressure for 3 years time.
The man ran out of credit. Yeah, so y'all hear the reasoning. Y'all hear the reasoning. The man ran out of credit, right? And let me get nasty. It's because of the low life mentality that they got to do these things. Yeah. This man singing in virtues of the PPP and he got credit for oh God, yeah. At least that again data planner, man. Oh crap. Right? At least that again data planner, man. You're representing them. Let again data planner. Why you asking me to talk about these things? Right? God, I'm going to deal with you just now. Get patient. Get a data planner, man. At least let it do the thing. Right? My story is simple. You listen to this, my reasoning. If he get a $40 million contract from the PPP, he's going to encourage people to vote for it. Why? Because Granger never do, or Granger never do nothing for nobody. Not because the PPP is superior as a government. Not because they have a vision as a government. But because he gets a $40 million contract, so they have done something for him. Y'all recognize the reasoning? It's the kind of reasoning which I'm talking about all the time. As long as these suckers get something for themselves, they will sell the whole nation to the PPP. Why am I hearing RTA Jones is saying song? Are you not hearing me? Please indicate. Because I think my song is up. Right? Are you hearing me or not? Good. Song is on according to Robin Robbins. Right, good. So this kind of somebody said knucklehead mentality is what has us where we are. Because they're going to get a $40 million contract now in an election year. But while they are getting $40 million in contract in an election year, The PPP friends, favorites, and family getting $400 million or $40 billion in contract in that same election year. They're getting 10 times over, 100 times over. But that is not where it stops. They will continue to get for as long as the PPP in power. And once that election year is finished and the PPP is back in power, them that are getting their $40 million contract and wait until the next election year comes. Are you understanding it? These people don't understand that what we're trying to open their eyes is the bait and switch, as I'm calling it. Because here we have, I'm going to give you food today because I want to do something for my benefit today. But once I achieve my goal tomorrow, you get kicked to the curb. You get kicked to the curb. And that is what is happening in this society all the time. I'll give you a nice prime example. Y'all know this Sharon Das get a $50 million contract? Mr. Jordan, morning. Nah. You know why I'm looking for you? Or not?
Yeah, I think something to do with the $40 billion.
Yes, this money that they went to Parliament for, to deal with this cash grant. I know we are hearing that public servants and old age pensioners are the people who are likely to get a cash grant before December, before Christmas, let's say. And the other categories will have to, or most likely have to wait until next year after the budget. Explain that.
Yeah, well, if you recall me saying yesterday, or what my sector is that, first of all, I asked the 30.5 billion represents 305,000 people. And I asked, who are these 305,000? Because you said that you're dealing with public servants and old age pensioners in the first round. And if you're doing that, then old age pensioners are 70,000. I don't know if they're including any other category of pensioners. I doubt whether, because they have not ever come out and say whether all categories of pensioners they're dealing with or just old age pensions. So they are 70,000. I don't even think they have a handle on how many public servants they are, because you have to deal with public servants who are, or public officers as opposed to public servants, who are teachers. They're about, I don't know, 11, 12,000 or how many. Discipline services, I don't know, there may be another 10, 12,000, maybe more. Then you have traditional public service, which is the ministries, departments, regions, or what they call budget agencies. I don't know how many are in there. At one time, they used to be as much as 40-something thousand back 70s, early 80s. They made it down now to be about, I don't know, another 11, 12,000. Then there are those that in what you call the other public sector, like the GRAs and the, the environmental protection agencies and all those constitutional agencies and statutory bodies and so on. I do not know if they are including the public corporations as part of public servants, because public corporations are not public servants. They're probably public officers, but not public servants. So we don't know. But if I add up all of those, I doubt whether I will get 235,000 persons that will be left. Okay? Because as I said, they're shooting for 305,000. That's why they went for $30.5 billion. So I don't know what categories they talked about, but clearly, as the Oracle came out and said yesterday, they cannot complete this process before the end of the year. In fact, they are a substantially long way from completing this process, even, I would think, by mid next year. because they're going to have a difficulty trying to put together all the different categories of people, particularly when they come to Region 4, with a large number of people who are not categorized as public servants, right? And as you can see, as soon as the $100,000 was announced, there was a large influx of people to GCOM to get ID cards. And that will continue because they got a number of people out there who don't have ID cards. And as Walter said, there are a number of people who don't even have birth certificate. So I don't know how you're going to deal with that. And as the other category that is the elephant in the room that I talked about yesterday also, Diaspora Guyanese. Clearly, you could not have been catering for all Diaspora Guyanese because you yourself don't know what's that number. So how many Diaspora Guyanese are you catering for? And those Diaspora Guyanese who have already started coming home, and the large numbers to be expected in December, would they be paid? Because obviously they most likely will be registered.
They're going back empty-handed.
Right, they will not be paid. They will not be paid before the end of December. So they are going to be registered. But they can't come back to get their money. So I assume that, you know, they get a little vacation, then they got back to work and so on. So they would have been registered, but they can't come back to get their money. So who's going to be claiming their money? Because they're in the system, they're registered. And since you say they must turn up face to face to get their money, who's going to, and then do those persons have ID cards? Many of them don't have an ID card. Several of them don't even have a Ghana passport. But that doesn't mean that they've lost their citizenship. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that they've lost their citizenship. Some have given up their citizenship entirely. And I heard Lily Bell saying that she has been given up her citizenship, Ghana citizenship, so she's now purely an American. It's a dangerous thing to do because if Americans de-citizenize you, then you're stateless because there's no obligation for your foreign country to take you back. But it's another story. So you got all of these different problems that they don't even know for this story. And today is the last day of this month in terms of work day. They're not about to pay anybody by the end of this month. Certainly not pensioners. Not about to be paid anybody at the end. But pensioners anyway. So when is it that pensioners will be collecting? Do pensioners have to go through the same photograph story? Where are they going to be doing this photograph story of these pensioners? All those pensioners who are, we call shut-ins and so on, are they going to turn up at those people places to take their photograph? What nonsense is this? What nonsense is this? You know, I mean, so those are some of the real problems they have. Now, if you don't get your money this year, then you have to wait for them to vote the money in the budget. I am looking to see how much money they are put because the article came out yesterday and said there are slightly over 600,000 people adults in Guyana. I don't know where he got that figure from. He must have access to the census, if that is what the census is saying. Because if the census is saying that you have just over 600,000, let's say 610,000, you have another 200-something thousand children that you got to add to that. I think school-age children. That's 200-something thousand. And then I don't know how much more. So you were talking about a population in excess of 900,000 people. But according to what we are hearing, the census says that the population has declined. So you still got 700-something thousand. So this mystery over the numbers and the census is another story. But let us come back to what he said anyhow. He said there are like over 600,000 adults in the country. That's fine. Is that the reason why you're saying 60 billion? So what happened to the diaspora Guyanese that you claim could make claims to the money? Because in his own words, and you see the tape, he said there's slightly over 600,000 adult Guyanese in the country. And that is his claim to the $60 billion. So that includes all the diaspora Guyanese that he now claims can be added into the framework. It is an enigma wrapped up in a mystery. That is what is going on here. And the more they open their mouth, is the more they complicate it themselves. And because of the absence of a structure and a plan in the first place, it was never thought out. They're making it up as they go along. And you can see it. Everybody opens their mouth, come up with a different story altogether. They cannot show you the categories of people that will come back to $60 billion that they're talking about, including what is their estimate for the diaspora Guyanese that they're including. They cannot come up with it. They're making it up as they go along. They're making it up as they go along. And you ask for 30.5 billion. It's a specific figure. You must have a breakdown of these 305,000 people that you're talking about. But it is not being given. All you're doing is giving these feel-good statements about, oh, everybody will be paid, or we're aiming to pay everybody, or we have accelerated this, and we have accelerated that. That's all you're hearing. That's all you're hearing. But that is where it stands at the moment. That is where it stands at the moment. And as an aside, as I'm still here, it is cheese to chalk to compare what Suriname has given or intends to give to its citizens versus what this government did. Cheese to chalk. I mean, it was painful, as I said again, listening to an attempt yesterday by Jagio compared it to so that there's a superior because you are paying yours now. You are paying yours now. Force oil for us came in 2019. You are making a cash transfer 5 years afterwards. The COVID grant doesn't count. The COVID grant doesn't count. The COVID grant was a specific grant for COVID. Now you're making a cash transfer as a part of your reward for our windfall. That is what you're giving. And that is what Suriname, that is what you have to compare it with Suriname. You're giving that 5 years afterwards. And you're giving that now, giving the impression as if it is worth more than Suriname 750 that will be worth in 2020. But Suriname recognize that, and that is why they're giving their people the money 7% every year. That is why they're giving 7% every year. And that is why they have maintained the value in US dollars. So that if there's any devaluation, you don't lose. Cheese to chalk. And of course, they're giving 750, and they're giving 750 to all their citizens.
Every single one of them. From babe to suckling.
That's right. Cheese to chalk. I mean, you're making an attempt to compare what you're doing with what Suriname is doing. You should have given one of them the chance to do that. Not at your level, because people will see to it right away. Cheese to chalk. Suriname, what they intend to give, because they have given a penny. But what they intend to give, and that's why I said they should put it in law. They should put it in law so that if they lose the election and somebody comes in, there will be a law where you will be forced to pay. But as it stands now in terms of the proposal, it is far superior to what the government is paying here. It's just a simple fact. If the money were to be paid instantaneously, as Ali had said 6 weeks ago, oh, but you got to be no economist to know that if you had got that money the next day in your bank account or in your hand, you'll be able to buy far more 6 weeks ago than you could buy 6 weeks afterwards. Especially when you're coming close to Christmas. Cheese to chalk. And so some things you can get away with politically, others, common sense will tell you don't go there. It don't make sense.
Some people tell themselves the nation is so backward that they're going to succeed with the nonsense anyhow.
Man, only 2 days ago I went to buy water. And the guy said, Brother Winston, tell me about it. You may know you can. This is how we start out. But look, buddy, how long would it take to give you this 100,000? I had some plans, and right now when I go back yesterday, the guy is saying, man, you want this thing or not? I can't hold the price anymore. He said, well, buddy, I was waiting to get you on the brand to pay for the thing. So I had to tell him, man, go along and sell it if you get the buyer, because I don't know where the 100,000 coming. You understand what I'm telling you, man? So many people have plans for the 100,000. But unfortunately for them, those plans either have to be shelved or they have to think again and wait until they get the money actually in the hand and see what that money can buy, rather than planning to get the 100,000 and create an expenditure for it. Because as we said, 100,000 last month, it's not 100,000 this month, it's not 100,000 next month. So but I was sorry for my friend, and I tell you, brother, give up on it for the time being. And of course, my argument, even though it might have been easy for the public to get to the public servants, but the public servants getting a monthly salary. There are the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who are unemployed, underemployed, and so on, who are getting little to no income. And we should have had a mechanism in place to target those people first. You're targeting the people who actually getting a monthly stable income to get 4 gigs at the month. How that can be fair to the unemployed man down there on the road, the vendor who's struggling to make $2,000 a day or a week? The guy who's sleeping under on the road or something, or in a shelter or something. When they will get their money, they are not being targeted until next year. If they survive into next year. You targeted the people who actually get enough income every month, guarantee that income every month. They are being targeted first. Instead, when you rolled out the thing, you would have targeted those people who are unemployed, underemployed, and so forth. The indigent, the aged, all the different people who are really and truly the ones in need. And before you come and make a grand announcement, those should be the people you target, how you are going to get them first, and all these kinds of stuff. But it's politics. Everything is politics. And unfortunately, when politics intersect with human behavior, you get chaos and confusion. And the only loser is the human, not the politics. Right,
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, bro.
So you have heard Mr. Jordan there. I'm sure you're much clearer. I hope that don't stop. The knucklehead, according to you, was listening to us too. Right? The lines are open. I know it's Free Talk Friday. We have taken up some of your time there. So I'm not going to be speaking too much more. You can call now. Call it on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're on.
I believe sometime I gotta change my name. Good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters in Guyana. Black God said there was a bombshell. What Jack do? Drop on black man. What sweet a goat mouth of bitter ASS and the bitterness now? No, my black brother and sister. Don't mind the car flat garden, only get first grade education. Make y'all take flat garden serious. For you guys, forget what belongs to you. Black people, you all have to put fire and smoke up in the air. You guys have to represent these words seriously. Love, unity, support, sacrifice, and most of all, demand. Demand. It belongs to you guys. Why you guys have to take the 666? The mark of the beast to get are you owed money in Guyana? What nonsense is that? When I collect my 2 checks from the government for the pandemic, all I have to walk with my ID. Give it to the cashier. Okay, Mr. Flat Guard, you raise your eye. Okay, good. How you want your bills? It's leave to you. Give me what you have. You got to come together and put fire and smoke up. You have to take that garden serious.
I see that video with that, I wouldn't even call her sister. That lady was stand up and shake and take a picture with that wicked guy Jadio. Oh my God. And she's an MP for black people. Mr. Arby Martin, if you're listening, you got to take control of your MPs then. You got to do what Barnum used to do. You see, when was the last election? Everybody jumped. You see, what are you asked for? You're getting no black people. Where are you asked for? You're getting it. Are you just, oh, we want new, young leaders. And today, black people cannot benefit from majority young leaders them today. Because they don't care a damn. They only need the y'all to put them in office. He go shake hand with Jadio, my black brother and sister. Are you proud for Adi Nathan? She must not be no minister when the government change. Because she might end up doing what Chawandas did to us and our teachers and children. That guy went out from Mackenzie, the dread, the Parliamentary. When Adi Nathan did not shake the man with 19, he go back and shake that man and is alleged. He tell the man with 19, oh, Adi Nathan was wrong not to shake your hand. He got to respect you are the president. All that nonsense thing that black young leaders doing it today to black people. Don't care a damn. Before we go, Amanda, when Sarah Lynch was leaving, this is not alleged. Sarah Lynch come out first with 4 or 5 Venezuelan women and said, black people and children must respect Venezuelan women because they're better more than guys. We love to read fine print and explain the details. And when Sarah Lynch was leaving, Amanda was right there, an MP. This there is alleged because somebody tell me that she gone what you wear past 10,000 US and she take a picture with Sarah Lynch, drink champagne and all that. And it's alleged that she tell Sarah Lynch, I'm going to miss you. You is one of the best ambassador. I said, when I hear this thing on the street, we said, what? Amanda again, this is MP, young MP, was supposed to fight and represent Chinese people, especially black people. She called her. She covered in Parliament and said, oh, they will cook mutton curry in Parliament and get black people, children to get punished. And then the lady comes and say, hey, back up. She not tell her you, she eat it, and she went back again to eat it. This is the disgrace of this young MP. They're not fighting for black people. Adi Nathan put the name outside there when he was young and MP. When we believe the year was 1997. Adi Nathan show when he was young MP. Adi Nathan giving this young MP a chance to step outside there and represent, but they're not doing it. They're fighting each other. Young MP. Them 3 young MPs for PNC were caught on the phone. I'm talking about young MP, they're not representing black people. 3 young MPs were caught on the phone. They're representing their own party, attacked by their own party. But blind check, these young people doing this nonsense. You want go back to Burnham MPs them. Go back to Burnham minister them. They are not behaving like all these people are behaving today. It is time for black people call Panabi and say, hey, we don't want Tom Jones and I Jones. It's our vote. These people, they're not supposed to be minister, period, for that nonsense they're doing. How can you sit and eat and drink with these criminals them? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your call. Like you asked him a face. Is there a photograph out there circulating with Aubrey Norton taking photograph with Modi and the PPP people? I'm just asking. Because if there is such a photograph out there, I don't know why we're lynching Annette Ferguson. We got lynched the whole group of them. First thing what they're doing in Parliament. Second thing, I saw a video with Ganesh Maipal the other day complaining how they weren't invited to these events with Modi and so on and so forth. And the photograph Orbinor took with Modi is a mere coincidence, let me call it that, because the two of them happen to go through the same door. Black man, Mr. Leader of the Opposition, where's your dignity? If I wasn't invited to an official function with, even for a photo op, why you think you could get a photograph with me because I walk through the same door with you? This is not street kind of business. Why didn't you ask your host, or while you were planning your itinerary, why didn't you indicate that you would like to have a meeting, even if for a photo opportunity with the leader of the opposition? Why? And let me ask this, or let me say this to Jade Bentley. Jade, you don't come on my program on course. I'm going to delete your comment this time. But the next time you do it, I'll simply block you. Caller you on. Caller you on.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to everyone. The young man was at your somewhat. I hope they give you a scholarship to go to I-40 University. Because me see how he can compare 23 years plus the 7 years, 23 years plus the 7 years, to 3.5 years without ailment, 3.5 years without ailment. And when they go down in the 3.5 years, the director of the labor officer was $800 pound. And when they take over, but 2 weeks after, it got to $400 pound. If he expects what he doesn't make up so much, all of it up. We take and the price they raise.
I'll be careful. Y'all could call WhatsApp, you know. Call WhatsApp. I don't know why y'all calling straight and know you ain't got enough credit to complete the thought. Call WhatsApp. The number is on WhatsApp.
Good morning, Ms. Samson. Good morning, viewers. The advertisement that advertising for people in Trinidad and Tobago. Guyanese need work. Guyanese in Guyana need work. They extending their hands all over because they see the writing on the wall. I don't know what to say. The Guyana got a wicked government.
How much percent they give? Right? There's one. You have a contract for
Your mic was off. Can you start? I'm sorry.
yes. Okay. I'm calling in connection. The first thing what the coalition did, give 70% for the short time that they were there. PPP was there from 92 to 2015. Right? How much percent they give? Coalition get 18 million signing bonus. They pay to the world code. PPP get 10 million before the coalition get it. That's 18. That's it. What they do. But Marlon see that the PPP have the money now that they're getting oil wealth, so they could do anything. Right? They give him a $40 million contract. Oxy, where you getting those equipments? Current, he don't have anything. So it's just he working for them. He named on the contract that he have the contract, but he do not have nothing to. He have to go. They gonna tell you, okay, I do the contract. Go and rent machine from this port and that port. So when it comes, the $40 million, he come back to nothing, right? So he just watching for himself. Don't watch for yourself. Watch for everybody and see. You get, as the light said, they eating a food. You eating a food, and the rest of people starving. It benefiting you. The rest, it benefit you. So he got to talk to himself. He can't say that he will get people to vote for this person because they give him something. They give him something for use him. Right? He don't have not even a $300 million contract. What is $40 million? Right? And this is what these fellas do not see and look at. Right? They just money, by the just say 40 million, they get confused. There's a big money, but it's not a big money. Right? When others getting $300 million contract, well, you could just get a contract. It's better give you a got a cleaning contract because this is what they get you as. Okay, man, you have a good day. Blessing all the time.
You know, the caller is so right. The caller is so right with that contract. A lot of our folks are talking about getting contract and so on and so forth. Yeah, man, it's good to get a bread. You know? It's good to get a bread. I ain't against nobody getting a bread. But you have to be able to analyze your bread. I bowed my head in shame yesterday. I ain't calling nobody name, but I'm going to talk this. I bowed my head in shame yesterday. I'm telling you. When I learned that a man who, for years, has been around as a contractor, got a contract in his name from the PPP, and turned it over to a PPP supporter to do it because he doesn't have anything to do it. You are just a poster boy. Look, we get a $40 million contract. We get a $100 million contract. But who gets the half of the contract money? Despite your name on it. Let me do this analysis here quickly. We're going to give you this road to do. It's a concrete road. It values $60 million. The labor is $5 million. All the materials come up to $55 million. These are the suppliers from which you must buy the material. Or these are the people who will supply the material, and we will pay them. You get any $60 million contract? You get $5 million labor only contract. But people don't understand this. They're just running them out and bigging up themselves. Your name is on a $60 million contract. But the government got the people who providing $55 million worth of the material that you guys used to do the contract. Then sign a labor only contract for $5 million and recognize that it's only $5 million they get in contract. But these knuckleheads, as somebody say, only masquerading around the place and talking crap. And selling the people in exchange for the labor only contract of $5 million and $3 million and all kind of thing. But them is jag your children and infantile. Critical thinking could never be the strong point. But you ever look at how sheep move? Regardless of all the dangers, when one sheep go across the road, all the others follow. That's what we face within this society, especially among our youth. Not bashing them, but being real. Because you can't even attempt to reason with some of them for them to understand how they're being taken advantage of. But hope and pray, but do the work at the same. I got. Exactly, Sean Anthony Ben. He will pay the taxes associated with the $60 million because he named the Puno. You take a $60 million contract, it's subcontracted out to somebody else, but they don't pay the taxes. You got to pay the taxes. But these choppity people can't even reason that. I got, man, sometimes it could be overwhelming. 2 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. Maybe Monday I will continue to talk about that job here in Trinidad. By then it would have happened. We might get the numbers as to how many persons they were able to recruit to come to Guyana and so on. But look around you and you will see the evidence. The writing is on the wall. The PPP is helter-skelter using green money to try to bolster their chances of winning an election, even by importing people from Trinidad. Imagine they're telling people, come to this job fair, we're going to tell you how to get lands and so in Ghana. And Guyanese, people pay for lands 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years, and can't get it. So those in Trinidad got to either be damn fools for them to tell them, come on, we're going to get your lands and so. Or they're being assured of a faster delivery of lands and other services to them. Which one you believe it is? Y'all walked out. Have a good day. Much love. I put up the cash app. Y'all know it by now. $sign KAMSTV. Y'all know the Zelda. So if y'all feel like put anything, put it. If not, peace. Love you. Bye-bye.